Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be showing you what to purchase or what to look for purchasing if you're just starting out, from your transmitter to your goggles down to some of your quadcopters. So first thing, let's start with the transmitter, because a lot of people kind of just really don't know what to get. Should I get an FrSky? Should I get a Spectrum? Should I get a FlySky? And there's a lot of, I don't think there's a lot of real, there's a lot of information out there, but let's get into it as basic as possible and help you understand how good each is, because I started out with a FlySky and I've had the experience of FlySky and a FrSky, and I've also tested them, like latency tested them. I've done a lot of testing on them, except range testing. That's a whole different story. So let's start with FlySky. I think FlySky is the perfect start for a transmitter. And that being said, if, for example, if you know you're going to be in this hobby for a while and you have the cash, then I would say go to an FrSky. But if you don't have the cash and you're still going to continue in this hobby, this thing will last you quite a while. Actually, for the first 6 months of me flying, I only used the FlySky transmitter, which is, it's very cheap. It's around $40. So if you don't know if you're going to keep loving this hobby and you don't know anything, this thing is basically universal for a lot of other things, not just drones. It could be used for other things. So can the FrSky. And it's a very, very good transmitter, really good transmitter. The gimbals will wear out after a while, but it's only $40, so it's all right. You know, gimbals do wear out usually on everything. So the jumper stuff, these multi-protocol things, I personally would not recommend. They're nice, they work, they basically can work on any receiver and all that kind of crazy stuff, but I just personally wouldn't recommend. I don't see it as very reliable in my opinion, but I could be wrong, but this is just my opinion, so you can go by it or you can just completely ignore it. So the FlySky one, I'd highly recommend not to get the normal one. Now, why do I say that? Well, you need the one that says with the X on it, because the X has the iBus protocol, and I think it's one of these ones. I think it's this one here, and I'll leave a link to everything down below as we go. I'm just double checking if this is the one that runs iBus or not, because everything is using basically iBus and SBus now, all the newer stuff, and they don't have anything for PWM, they don't have anything for PPM anymore. Some still do, like HDLRC. Some HDLRC products have that stuff, but if you're new, I'm probably losing you. Just look for iBus. Basically, I'll show you which one to get if you're gonna get a FlySky one. This one would be one also, but it's a little bit more expensive. Nobody's used it yet, so nobody really knows. This one right here, why is it $80 now? I don't think that's correct. It's not $80 as I remember. I think I have a bug on my end, possibly. That's happened to me before, where the price just was more expensive than it really was. But yeah, or maybe I got it on sale last time. Anyways, if you're gonna get a FlySky, you should get this one. But if it's really $80, I don't think it should be $80 actually. If it's $80, then you might as well just go for an FrSky, to be honest, in my opinion. Now, mode 1 and mode 2 is basically how you fly. You can go ahead and search for that. Basically, if you want the throttle with your left thumb, that's mode 2. If you want the throttle with your right hand, then that's mode 1. Most people fly mode 2. Some people fly mode 1. It's just how your brain works, basically. So that's something that's very important. Now, for receivers, it's also, there's the receivers for FlySky as well, very, very important. Now, let's go ahead and check them out. FlySky receivers. So you need one that's iBus compatible. iBus anyways makes it super simple. It just makes it, you know, to control your whole quadcopter with one wire. Back then we had to put up to like 6 wires other than the power and the ground for the receiver. So here's one option. Now, this option I do not recommend if you're new and you have a very tight budget, like a very tight build inside, like it's very compact. Why? This one can be affected by electromagnetic interference. And now you might say, well, what the hell does that mean? I mean, it's nice, it's very nice, it's very good price, $9, but I don't recommend putting these on 5-inch quadcopters, especially if you're new, because these are sensitive to electromagnetic interference, which means when the electricity is going back and through the ESCs and through the wires, it creates this electromagnetic field, thus giving you a failsafe, which is basically once you punch the throttle, you're going to lose control. You're going to break it from like the first 5 minutes possibly. So try to avoid this and use this for micros. Micros, it's good. You can get away with using it for 5-inch, but the possibility and the probability of it fail-safing a lot is very high, and it's happened to me a couple times, so that's something very important. However, I'll leave a link to this one down below. So yeah, so they keep that in mind when purchasing this. However, on little micros, you're gonna be totally fine. This is what I stick on micros when I get a chance. It's really nicely priced, $9 from China and $12.99 from the US. So yeah, so this one, keep that in mind. Now you should not, there's only I think one other one you should consider purchasing with a FrSky transmitter, another receiver. And let me put that as well down here. Let me just find it real quick. All right, so yeah, the other one that is highly recommended for a 5-inch quadcopter is this one, and it's very good price, $10. Now this one's a lot better. It comes with 2 antennas, and overall it does give you, if you are about to fail safe and if you lose connection, it'll give you a beep, and it's easier to bind because it gives you the bind authentication on your transmitter. However, the other one, the smaller one, doesn't give you that, and you have to guess that if you bound it or if you're going to lose signal or not, which is this one here. So I'd highly recommend you go with this one. Plus it's cheaper, actually. I mean, not cheaper, but it's about the same price, $10. I remember these used to be like $20 and $14, so this is a very good price now. So this one is really good. You have the options for iBus, PPM, and PWM. However, if you notice here, it's stackable, which means you could put it on top of your flight controller through those nylon standoffs. But what you have to do is get a box cutter or some kind of an X-Acto knife, stick it through here, and just keep spinning it around. It'll start eating away from the PCB here. Now be careful because it's fiberglass, so try not to inhale it. And you'll just keep, just keep spinning. Don't pass this white line here while you're spinning it. It's going to be totally fine. I've done this to all of mine. And then just keep making the hole bigger, because this is a 2mm sized hole and you want it to be a 3mm sized hole so you can stick it on your standoffs. Now, something that tends to happen quite often with me is, you see this LED here? I would pop that off while I'm spinning the nylon standoff here. And if that does happen to you, just remove it off the board. Nothing's gonna happen to it. It's just an LED for status. It'll be gone, but it will not affect the receiver itself at all whatsoever. All of mine have this broken now, every single one of them. So that's something normal. Don't be afraid. It just happens, and that you just gotta live with it. So it's not a big issue. So this is the one I would recommend for big builds for FrSky. So and it would run iBus. Now you need to make sure, like I mentioned before, you get the correct transmitter, which is this one. It's the one with the X on it, the i6X. It's all linked down below now. I have them all linked down below if you want to go and check those out. And just make sure you figure out which mode throttle you want. It's very important to get the X because it does have iBus, and the other one you would have to do some other stuff, which is very kind of chaotic and annoying. Now I mentioned something about the to use this with the PC. You need this cable to play any game with this transmitter on your PC. However, I've created a tutorial where you can use just the receiver and the Arduino, and you can just basically play wireless, which is a lot better, and it's 10 times better than using that cable. But if you're not very familiar with that stuff, then you're gonna need the cable, which is just I'll leave a link down below as well, which is this one here. There's 2 cables. You got to be careful, and one of them is for playing it as a virtual, using it as a virtual joystick for your PC, and the other cable is just to flash firmware. So you got to be careful. This is to flash the firmware. You don't want this one. This is, I believe, the one that you'd want. Yes, it's this one here. So I'll leave a link to this one down below as well. So the first section in the description down below, it's all about FrSky. So now we were done with the FrSky option of transmitters. Let's go ahead and move to the FrSky. Now FrSky is a little bit more matured in our hobbies, I believe. It has a lot more features. You can have the controller talk to you, tell you things. It has telemetry. It could read you the battery voltage. It can do a lot of crazy cool stuff. Now, if it's really the controller, the FrSky controller is really around $80 like here, but I do highly believe it's incorrect because I purchased one for $50 the other day from here. So one time this happened to me before. I don't know why it happens, but yeah, take that in consideration. If it's that expensive, then I would personally highly recommend just get a FrSky QX7. You don't need these other ones. This one's nice too. I haven't tested. Well, actually, I've received it. I did the battery mod. Now I don't know if I ruined it or I got a dead one out of the box, which I'll be making an update video on that. So this one's still new, And yeah, you know, there's a couple of reviews out there, but it still hasn't matured into the market just yet to know its ups and downs just yet. So but the QX7 is an all-around absolutely beautiful controller. It's a beast of a controller. Now you might see a lot of people have this one, but this one's actually quite old now, and it's nice and all, but this one's a lot better, a lot better. And I'd highly recommend this one here. I'll leave a link to this one down below. It's called the FrSky QX7. It's phenomenal. So this is one. I was using this until I switched over to the Horus, and I'm actually thinking of switching back. Now the Horus is a $500 expensive one, which is way overkill for our hobby. That thing is just ridiculous. It has so many options and buttons and stuff, which I never use. So yeah, this is a very nice option. Also for receivers on the FrSky, now you can't use the same receivers as FlySky, but what I'd recommend, what I always use personally, this is from my own experience, there's a lot of other ones, but I always just use this one. This one is awesome. It has the what is it, the RSSI, which means the signal telemetry, which tells you how strong the signal is between your transmitter and your receiver. And it's very tiny, and it has, you know, 2-channel, which is, I mean, dual antenna here. And it's overall a very nice receiver. I've never had a single issue with this one. It's very tiny, very light. You could stack it in anywhere and you're totally fine. Unlike the FlySky one. The FlySky one, for some reason, is susceptible to the EMI, but this one just never ever fail-safed on me, which is really nice. And this is all I stack up on, so I'll leave a link to this one down below. There are many other options, and to me they're all the same, really. I mean, some might get a little bit more range, but to be honest, if you're new, and even myself, I never fly more than 700 meters away from me, I think. So I you know, I don't risk losing my quads. So this is a very good option, and it's a very nicely priced option as well. So that's one I would highly recommend. So what else do we have? Let's move to goggles, because goggles is also another important aspect. Now, it also comes down to your budget. So you can find many reviews online of all kinds of goggles, Iomeways, Fat Sharks, the new Sky Zones, all these things. Now, I personally started with this thing here. Where is it? It was an older version of this one, but it's basically the same one. It's called the D2. It's basically a box goggle. And the box goggles are very nice, which is this one here. It's 80 bucks. It's pretty cheap, and it has all the features that all the other premium goggles have. It has the diversity. It has a diversity receiver, which means it can, you know, receive from 2 antennas basically. And it has a nice screen inside. It has a DVR, and it has a rechargeable battery, and it does come with the charger for recharging that battery. So this is a very good option to start off with. I'll leave a link down below, and I would definitely recommend this for anyone, because this is how I started. This one is like this is the older one that I had, I think, and this is the newer one now. They don't sell the older one anymore, and it's really nice. It has very good screen, and you could see just about everything, so it's really good in that perspective. It's pretty light as well. But if you do have the cash to dish out money, I personally would recommend, well, I mean, you know, it's difficult to recommend goggles. Now, box goggles are a little bit easier to recommend for most people, but the goggles that put on your face, because each of them have a different size in the way they fit on your face, so it's highly recommended you find someone in your area or something and just put them on and see how they feel. But what the goggles that I use and I'm still using are the HD3s. Now, these are the core ones, but it's the same thing as the ones that I have. I have an older version of these. But if you do have the cash, you know, these are really nice goggles, and I've had them for a very long time, and they've been awesome. And obviously there's newer ones and stuff, but these products have really matured in this market, and are really headache free. You're not going to be surprised with a weird issue. Like, for example, when the HDOs, these guys just came out, 500 bucks. I bought my HD3s for 500 bucks. When these just came out, they had all kinds of issues, and some still do have issues, which you have to ship it back to Fat Shark for them to do the repair, and the goggles and the screens were terrible, and all these kinds of things. So it's, you know, try to wait a little bit with goggles before go ahead and purchasing the first batch of anything, really, and wait till you start seeing the issues. And I highly recommend you Google more than YouTube, because you could find the issues basically on RC groups. That's where you could figure out if a product is pretty good, or if you want to take the risk or you don't want to take the risk. So that's something very important as well. But the overall experience between a box goggle and this type of FPV goggle was when I just switched over, my flying improved dramatically. I don't know if it's a placebo effect or just I can see everything absolutely phenomenal. It's really insane. I mean, I can't say that for all goggles because some have smaller screens. For example, this one I think would have a smaller screen, I'm not sure, and this one would have a little smaller screen, but the HD3s have a beautiful 4x3 screen. So this is what I would recommend because this is what I've used. I've also tried the Iomways, the Sky Zones, the V1s, the newer ones, but not the updated version. Those were awesome, but the only problem and the only big issue with those at the time, my nose. I couldn't put it on my nose. It was made for like Asian noses, like smaller noses basically. And yeah, that's the only issue. But this fit my face perfect, and I think I'd have a pretty almost average face and nose maybe. So yeah, and a lot of people stand by Fat Sharks, and a lot of people use Fat Shark. It's because they're good. That's why people use them. So that's something as well. So I have the goggles also linked down below. Now, what do we have next? We have cameras. I think camera is a very important topic because I think if you're new, I'm trying to remember how it is for me, you know, you might want the best, you know, resolution, the more TVL lines, the better. But honestly, you don't really notice that much of a difference. You can notice a difference. But the thing that's really important comes down, in my opinion, to two features or to two important things that camera must have. Very good light transition, because some cameras the whole screen will basically go black. You can't see nothing and you won't be able to fly that well, and you just hate it depending on where the sun was and all these things. So good light transition, and as well as latency. Latency is very important. Maybe in the beginning not so important, but when you gain experience and you try other things, you could feel the difference and see the difference. And it's kind of disorienting sometimes because you could hear the quad and you're seeing it do something else, you know. It's weird. I can't explain it, but maybe someday you'll know what I mean. For cameras, what I personally recommend a couple of them actually. These are very nice and very cheap, because especially if you're new, I still use these actually, but you know, if you want something good and cheap, it's basically the Flysky Xt60 It's like 17 bucks, 20 to 17 bucks. It fluctuates every now and then, and it's a really good camera, which is this one here. I'd highly recommend this one. It's a 600 TVL line, very good latency. This is the HS1177 type camera, which means the basic default size bigger cameras that would go on most frames. However, some cameras now are going down to micros, and I'll show you a micro one as well, which I would highly recommend. So this one's very good. Copy link location. I'll put a link to this one down below. Cameras. Okay. So here's this camera. This is a full-fledged, you know, big camera, and you can find other cameras as well. You know, they're also going to be pretty good as well. But this is one that I'd highly recommend. This one's a really nice camera as well. Actually, it's a little bit more expensive. I do have this one, but this is a little bit smaller. It's a mini camera here, and yeah. So this one's very good. You're gonna possibly end up breaking it anyway. So, and also another good one for a micro, which is the Hakcrc, I think Turbo S1 or F1. I forgot. Let me just double check here. F1, sorry. So the Hakcrc Turbo F1. That one I have tested, and the latency is out of this world. It's like 4 milliseconds, which is crazy. I've never seen anything like that. So the Hakcrc Turbo F1, it's around $20 camera as well, which is really nice. So make sure it's the F1. So here it is, Turbo F1, 1200 TVL line. Yeah, this one, absolutely phenomenal, really nice camera, very good priced, and I have a bunch of those as well. And I also have some of these at my shop. If you want to go ahead and check out my shop, that'd really also support the channel if you wanted to go ahead and check those out. Now let's talk about what else. So these two cameras I'd highly recommend. You can get any other camera, they're gonna work just as well. Look at that, they even have my video here. So it was really one of the fastest cameras on ever really created. The Micro F1 will start production So they're gonna stop production soon, I guess. So you might as well pick as many as you can possible. So this one was overall very nice camera. I did really enjoy this one. What else do we have now? For frames is a very large topic depending on what you're going for. But if you are afraid of tuning and you are afraid of a lot of things, then the frame that's, I think, very well accepted throughout our community, and I'd highly stand by, is one called the Froglight. And this one came out a long time ago. I bought this one, it was like 50 bucks back then. And this frame is just ridiculously crazy. It comes out of, like, whatever you build on this frame is basically almost a perfect tune. It just needs minor adjustments, and if you didn't know how to adjust those, it doesn't matter. You can fly it the same way it is. It's not that bad. But if you really wanted to get into it, this gives you the easiest way to start into drones. I've built around 6 of these, and every time I just enjoyed every single one of them. So it's a really nice, it looks absolutely phenomenal. And I do have a couple builds on my channel with this frame. You can go ahead and check it out, and I do have a lot of flight footage on this channel with this frame, so you could totally see how it flies and all these things. And if you ever wanted to upgrade, this comes as a 5-inch quadcopter. I'm the only one that has 6-inch arms for this from Transtech. I got them custom made, and you can go ahead and check them out. I'll leave a link to it down below if you want to go ahead and see that. All right, so what else do we have here? We do have other frames as well, but this one is like, you know, 28 bucks, and it's like 100. I would pay 100 for this frame. That's the frame I would pay literally $100 for if I had to. So it's a really good overall frame. Now, what else do we have? Motors, you can get all kinds of motors. Racer Star motors are pretty good motors to start off with. ESCs, you can check my ESC videos. Currently the fly color budget ESCs, or you know what, for a complete setup, actually, let's go ahead and check this out real quick. So for a complete setup, what I have done here is I've done little budget bundles on my shop, and those really will help you get started instead of going around looking for, you know, other things. So I don't know why it's taking so long here. So maybe I lost internet. Let's see. All right, we'll just wait for that to load a little bit. So overall, this is the way to kind of start into everything, and this is what, you know, from my experience. So I do also have the CADX on my shop for a little bit cheaper, and what I was talking about is bundles. Now, if you wanted a really nice budget bundle, then I have this one, and if you wanted something that's basically premium setup, which is this one as well. This is just an old quadcopter that I had built, if anyone's interested in it. So you also do have ESCs and all kinds of crazy good stuff, so you can go ahead and see basically the shop in stock. So let's come here. So this is a bundle. It comes with a Maytag VTX, 4 Fly Color Raptor. These are the best budget ESCs. You can see how they tested on my channel, and $C F405 all-on flight controller. This has a 9-volt regulator on board, so you don't have to be worried about bad video feed. So you could take that into consideration. It's very useful. So this is a absolutely phenomenal setup here, and I believe I have almost everything in here, all the reviews in here possibly. No, I don't, but you could find them on my channel or on separately on each product. So this is C. I've done noise testing. I really did a lot on this, and I've done the real world testing. It's absolutely phenomenal. So this setup right here is a really nice setup, and as well as this here. So this is also a very nice setup you can go ahead and purchase, and I've done real world testing on this. It's on my favorite basically quads. This one, it's basically an F4 C F405 with a C engine. They stack on top of each other, thus helping you, instead of soldering everything, it just uses pins and it connects, and it makes it all over, just overall super easy. So all you would need to do is connect camera, VTX, power, and your motors to the ESC. And I have a couple build videos with these, so you can see those and you can understand how to set this up, which is really nice, which will help a lot of people out. And I'll leave a link to these down below as well. There'll be probably the last 2 links here, as well as the 6-inch frog arms if anyone's interested in those as well. And yeah, and that's it, guys. So I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I really hope it was useful to someone. And if you guys have any questions or any suggestions, feel free to let me know, and I will see you next time. See you guys. Take care.